spend enough time talking to men and really listening to them, and you start to hear the same thing over and over again. A lot of them feel like they're stepping back into the same day that they lived yesterday, and they're just stuck in this never-ending loop. They wake up, they push through that feeling of not wanting to get out of bed or move or just be that character that they need to be for the day. They're sick of playing that role and participating in this never-ending cycle, but yet they manage to push through all of that, get out of bed, get ready, go to work, do what they need to do. Finally, they get to leave work, and then they sit in traffic for an hour. They get home, they plop down on the couch, they turn on the TV, they pull out their phone and they start doom scrolling, and they spend those few hours that they have, those few free hours in their day, just dreading of going to bed and waking up the next morning and starting it all over again. And so a lot of them, they end up just staying up way longer than they should. And then it's even worse when they wake up the next morning, and then they really hate their life. For a lot of men, that's all they have. And they're all they have. When they get home, there's no wife or girlfriend waiting for them. They don't have any friends that are stopping by because they don't have any. They just have an empty place and an empty life. A lot of men, they now just, they have nothing. And many of them are working from home. They're not even leaving their house. So they don't even have the opportunity to see anyone. They spend most of their day alone in their living room or in their office or in their bedroom. They sit in front of a screen all day and they do their work. And when their work day's over, nothing changes other than they moved from their desk to the couch. They're sitting in those same rooms by themselves. These men aren't sharing their lives with anyone. They're not in relationships, and many of them are starving for physical intimacy. For them, it's been months or even years since they've felt the touch of a woman. And after a while, it starts to feel like you're putting in effort every single day, but your life isn't actually moving forward. And the problem is that the effort that men are exerting, it isn't connecting. It's not connected to a life that actually means anything. And most men, they're not trying to become rich and famous. They just want a simple life. That's it. They want work that feels meaningful to them. They want to build something that they can take care of and improve over time. Work has always been one of the ways that a man proves himself to others and proves to himself that he's capable. And a part of that life includes building a family. A man wants a woman who respects him and believes in him, who is proud of him and proud to stand next to him. A woman who chose him because she actually wants him and wants to have his children. Not just children, but his children. That's the kind of relationship that gives a man the stability that he needs. And after spending the day dealing with the outside world, a man wants to come home to a woman who trusts his leadership and supports him. and feeds him and provides a peaceful environment for him to relax and settle in, so that he has the strength to do that the next day and the next day and the next day. And men also need other men around them. Brotherhood it's missing from men's lives. A man benefits tremendously from having older men around them to guide them and mentor them. And they also need men who are on their level, so they have a common understanding of what each other are dealing with and going through. And also they need younger men around them so that they can pour into them and be mentors to them. And that hierarchical structure, it gives a man a sense of belonging outside of his family, and it also equips him to be better for his family, a better husband, and a better father. And speaking of being a father, children, they add another layer of meaning. Many men want to raise children and teach them how to live properly. They want that experience. A father wants his sons to grow into men who carry themselves with integrity and self-respect. He wants his daughters to grow up protected and feminine, so that they can choose the right kind of man when they become adults. For thousands and thousands of years, that structure was the normal path for many men. But today that structure is much harder for most men to even attain. His work oftentimes feels hollow and meaningless. Just look at corporate America. It's sucked the souls out of everyone, especially men. These men, they spend so many years of their lives giving everything to a company that inevitably will replace them tomorrow, just because it'll increase their bottom line by 5%. And relationships now have become a minefield. And many men, they go through large parts of their adult life without finding a woman who truly wants to even build a life with them. And on top of that, friendships between men have fractured. And yes, people, they drift apart. They grow apart. That does happen with men. And as a man gets older, it becomes harder to make friends. It also gets harder to trust other people, because there are a lot of fake people out there. The point is that countless men, they've ended up carrying the weight of life without another man beside them who understands what he's dealing with and going through. And when that disappears, real isolation sets in. For the most part, it's just him in an empty apartment every single day. Nobody asks him how his day went. He hasn't heard from anyone in days, weeks, or even months. He spends hours and hours and hours in front of a screen because there's nothing else to do. And there's nowhere to go and nobody expecting him anywhere other than his employer the next morning. Movies, video games, social media, and adult content, they fill those few hours he has to himself. And none of those things replace real connection with people. And before long, the months of this, they turn into years, and he becomes lost in this void. the life that a man hoped to build one day, it begins to feel not even just further away, but not even possible. They begin feeling like they're, like I said, like they're living the same day over and over and over again, and nothing is going to change. They are stuck in this loop. And the effort required to maintain this excruciating existence becomes heavier and heavier for them. A man can reach a point where he stops expecting things to change. Over time, that feeling turns into despair. A man who feels alone, unloved, and stuck inevitably believes that nothing he does will change his future. And once a man reaches that point, it gets dark for him. It's easy to understand why this is happening when you open your eyes for 2 seconds and look at the world that we're living in. We live in a world that's unbearable for men. They are no longer treated with dignity or respect. And technology has also played a major role. With many of the conveniences that it's brought us, there have come with each of those conveniences serious trade-offs that have compounded. Like I said, many men now, they end up spending a large parts of their day just sitting alone in front of screens, just staring at screens. And don't get me wrong, some men are still able to manage and build something meaningful inside that environment. But many others, they haven't been able to. And it's getting harder and harder to manage their existence. They live for the next distraction because that's all they have. And with the added economic instability, that of course adds another layer of complexity and uncertainty to their lives. The cost of living their painful existence, it continues to rise, and the purchasing power of the currency continues to dwindle. Because of this, a man, he can work his hands to the bone and still fall behind. So tomorrow morning, many of those men, they will wake up and they will step right back into the same life that they woke up to today. The routine, it will repeat. The isolation will still be there waiting for them when they get home. And the future that they once believed in will feel unreachable. Living that way year after year changes how a man sees his life. At some point, a man can begin to believe that nothing that he does is going to lead anywhere different. And when that belief settles in, the weight of life can become more than some men know how to carry. And when that happens, some of them break. And a lot of men are closer to that point than people realize. I hope that my content can help you if you're in that place. And I encourage you to hold your head up high and know that it's not the end of the road. And I know this because my feet have the scars to show. I myself was lost with vague direction and no place to call home. And it's time for you to press on and pull yourself together. Pull yourself together, man.